What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on our Regency Edition Sierra, and today we're going to be diving into the engine bay to tear this thing apart in order to replace our NOx sensor. So ever since we got this truck, we've had to check engine light for them being bad, and if you know anything about what a NOx sensor does, it's kind of important for it to be working properly. Now, unfortunately, they are hidden underneath our intake manifold, so it's going to take a little getting to get to them, but shouldn't be that bad given nothing breaks or something catastrophic happens. And it's probably going to be about the same for all your 4.8, 5.3s, and heck, probably even your 6 liters as well. This one being a 4.8. So we'll figure it out together. Of course, do a step-by-step. And if you got bad NOx sensors as well, this is going to be exactly how you replace them. So I'm going to go ahead, snatch our intake off, and then I'll catch up with y'all for going deeper. Actually, before you remove your intake tube, pop your fuse box open, locate your fuel pump fuse, remove it, crank your truck. It'll run for a couple of seconds and then stall out. That's going to be pulling all the fuel off the fuel rails. That way, when we remove them, we don't get showered in gasoline. Just like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove one of our terminals and then pull that intake tube off.
Now we got a 5/16, take this cover off. Now we got 3 10 mils to take this plate off. Now we're gonna go ahead and undo these 2 connectors right here. So just pull the gray tab up. Wiggle that free. Then this guy right here, gray tab up once again. Unplug it. Grab you a flathead, and let's get this guy free. Just like that. Now with the 10 mil again, we're gonna go ahead and remove this guy. That's gonna allow us to pull this wiring loom up and have some wiggle room. Careful not to break anything. Ours feels extraordinarily brittle, so that's kind of terrifying. Now we're gonna go ahead and disconnect the electronics on the throttle body as well as the tube back here. Take your flathead, kind of pry this gray piece back. Once you get it back, push that little arm down, remove that, and then just unplug it. We're gonna do our best to get this hose off without hopefully breaking anything. That's the goal. We're actually gonna remove ours on the bottom half so we can hopefully rotate this thing and it kind of work itself free. This might be one of those pieces we'll end up having to replace because it is brittle. That did in fact take entirely too long. I just didn't want to accidentally break this little arm right there. So she's off. Might have to replace this guy because she's starting to tear. So not the end of the world, but it's gonna happen. It's like I said, stuff's brittle. Now we shouldn't have any fuel pressure on the rails because we did the procedure, but you want to go ahead and just in case, hopefully this doesn't spray me. I don't think there's going to be anything there, but you want to have like eye protection and a rag and stuff, but we're just going to poke it. All right, yeah, so just a tiny little drip come out, so we're good. Now it's probably going to be pretty difficult for y'all to see this, but we're going to try to remove this vent right here. Finally. Now we need to remove our lock for the fuel line right here. Take a flathead, pry that up, pull it forward, sit it somewhere you're not gonna forget. Now it's time to actually remove the fuel line. Hopefully y'all are gonna be able to see somewhat of what I do because it is very cramped and obviously the camera's right there. I know they make metal tools for this, but I have these plastic ones. This is a 3/8. Hopefully this is gonna work. So we're just gonna slip that guy over and basically just push it in to where it pushes those teeth out and then pull the fuel line straight back. Just like that. Now it's time to go ahead and unplug our fuel injectors. There's a 2-part to this removal. So for starters, push that guy in like that, and then this should raise up. Like that. Press it in again and should wiggle off. Do that to all of them.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Driver's side sucks. because GM in their infinite wisdom did not rotate it 180. So over here where you can clearly see the little tab to push in, it's facing towards the cab on this side. So not fun, but we got them all off.
Now we're gonna go ahead and disconnect this purge valve. Start with the electrical connector, just unplug it. This guy we should be able to push in. There we go. Now we're gonna remove our throttle body, 3 10 mils. And then we're just gonna try to work it off the studs and lay it forward. Now we got that clamp out of the way, we should be able to pull that hose up. We can get it off now without removing it completely. Looks like we can. Now we're gonna go ahead and remove this hose. We're gonna do it from this side, so loosen that and just wiggle her free.
Now before we pull the intake manifold off, we need to go ahead and try to clean up underneath it and from the sides and everything. That way we don't have a bunch of junk fall in underneath, potentially going down into our engine. So we're gonna plug this guy up, cover it with something, and then take the air compressor and blow out all around and underneath and hopefully get majority of that junk out. I know we got a bunch of leaves, so I'm gonna spend some time doing that.
All right, it's time to go ahead and remove all 10 of our bolts for our intake manifold. I've already broken them free. They're gonna be an 8 mil. Let's go ahead and unscrew them completely. All right, now that we got all of those out, it's time to go ahead and lift this thing and try to work its way out. It's gonna be that guy right there. Don't know how in the world I didn't take that off, because clearly it's connected as well. But it should be the exact same as the one above it. So I'll pop that little lock off and then press the tool in there, remove that line, and then make sure all of our wires are out of the way, and then we'll go ahead and pull this thing out.
Well, clearly now we've got quite the job cleaning all this crap up before we go removing our knock sensors, but there they are, 1 and 2 back there. So we want to go ahead and grab a vacuum, clean all this crap out. Got quite a lot of carbon buildup for sure, but high mileage engine, you're gonna have that. This thing definitely was giving us the hang up, and that's what was pulling tight on it. Everything else came out of the way pretty good. We might have a slight issue with this guy right here. So this kind of got snagged, but that shouldn't be a big deal if we do need to replace that wire or that hose, as well as the one that came off of here.
All right, so of course there's 2 of these, but I'm gonna show you all the back one because that's the one I can get the camera to. So I believe we just get under here and pry this sucker up. Well, I couldn't find any better pliers, so we had to modify ours via the grinder. But this should now work. There it is. Now that we got those vacuumed out, it's time to remove them. It's gonna be a 22 mil. This front one has clearly been replaced, but the back one looks probably factory. This one already popped free, and I'm kind of terrified about this one, not gonna lie. It genuinely seems really seized on there, which is not great.
All I know is if I put this thing back together and it blows up when I crank it, it's because there's 1,000 ladybugs down in the engine. Because I've officially been overrun. Literally today, these all just showed up and they were everywhere, and they're flying all around the truck while it is obviously exposed. So if all goes bad, I'm blaming the ladybugs.
All right, so I've had this thing soaking in some penetrating oil for about 30 minutes, and this is either gonna go real good or real bad. Hopefully that was a good and not a bad. Oh my gosh. All right, I went ahead and put our knock sensors in, threaded them in by hand, and then snugged them up. And now we're gonna torque them down to 15 foot-pounds. We went ahead and got a new connector. So now I'm going to pop this guy on, just like that. And I already put some dielectric grease on the connector. All right, now we're gonna put some dielectric grease around this boot, smack it on there. And just like that, our new knock sensors are in place. So now we're gonna keep this guy up out of the way and the intake manifold can go back on. But I'm gonna talk to y'all about something real quick before I do that.
Probably would be a good idea to go ahead and like properly clean this thing out, blast the inside with whatever chemical, wash it out, let it dry, put new gaskets on it and everything like that. But you know, Reggie's kind of the old ragged out junkyard build, so I think she's going to be fine just to slap it back on there. I went ahead and wiped down the seals. I'm going to wipe that top one down because I see some dirt on it, but I'm going to go ahead, clean that up a little bit more, and then slide it up into place. And then I guess I'll catch up with y'all for bolting everything down. But I'm going to probably fight with this thing for a while, and camera angle's not going to be good, so I'll catch up with y'all after. Well, the intake manifold is back in. All went pretty smooth. It was a little fun getting this guy rerouted back through there while picking this wiring up and getting it in there, but once it kind of got down, it sat right down into place. And so I've already got these guys tightened down to just snugness, and there is a specific pattern which I will throw on screen. You're going to do that for the initial snug as well as the torquing. So it's 44 inch-pounds for the intake manifold bolts, but unfortunately my torque wrench does not go that low, and so that's a very like low torque amount. I just went ahead and grabbed the top of the wrench and tightened it that way. You will definitely snap those. I've snapped one on my 2014 Mustang doing an intake manifold swap on it before, and that's terrifying. And if it's below, you know, the metal, then have fun. I think it's going to be fine. If we have any leaks, then I'll obviously purchase a lower reading unit and come back and address that. But yeah, I think we're going to be totally fine. I'm going to go back one more time with the sequence and just ensure that none of them loosened as the other ones tightened. And after that, it's time to start buttoning this thing up. So last night I ran to O'Reilly's to get a new hose that runs from our throttle body to that rail, as well as the one that crossed over from that T. Now, they did not have the actual ones, but they did have these guys, so we're going to make them. Let's see if it'll actually fit on there before we go cutting, in case we need to return it. That shouldn't be a problem, and that shouldn't be a problem. All right, so yay about probably right here. Watch me cut it dead in the middle and that be too short on both ones. Wouldn't that be depressing? Yes, it would. All right, I think I might have done that. Holy crap, I didn't, but I almost did. All right, that side's on. And that guy's on. I've got plenty of line. So this guy is going from right. I did not check to see if it'll fit. Please fit. Oh, it's tight. This is going to be really unfortunate if none of these are small enough. Oh yeah. All right. Beautiful. Nice and secure. Not factory, but shouldn't be an issue. So now we can go ahead and throw that cover back on here, and then I'll throw the lid on as well. and then the intake, and I think it's time to put the fuel pump fuse back in there. Crank this beast up and cross our fingers and hope we did everything correctly. First crank, and that's about as good as you can ask for. No weird noises, running smooth as can be. All I gotta do is throw our cover back on, and then I guess we'll go for a drive. I've got the codes cleared, so hopefully we do not get knock sensor codes, because if we do, I'm gonna freak out. So for starters, we got an ABS light on. That's been on for a couple of days. Not sure why. Got to figure that out. Yes, we do have a check engine light currently for an O2 sensor. I've already checked it. No code for knock or anything like that. And this thing is running phenomenal. Watch this right here. By no means fast, and I wasn't flooring it, but no hiccups, no hesitation. A lot of time when you have knock sensor problems, it can be in like a limp mode. Even if it doesn't throw a limp mode code, it can still be acting funky and not giving you the full power that it has. And before, we had some serious hesitations and kind of almost felt like misfires and whatnot. So, initial drive, she is driving so much better with those fixed. First time Reggie and Chomper have ever been side by side. Got the twin black GMT800 Sierras. Holy moly, we definitely got to get some wheels on this truck soon. Y'all let me know, should we go with something similar to Chomper? Should we go with wide? Should we go with small and big tires? Let me know. I don't know, but they definitely sit very, very similar. Spindle lift on the two-wheel drive, keys on the four-wheel drive. But there is a couple of differences. Obviously 04, 06, even in the engine, this is a 5.3, this is a 4.8. But you can see on here, like I showed y'all, we do have two fuel lines, which I think the 04 and back had the return style. So one of these feeds fuel and one of them returns it back to the tank, versus from here on up, it's returnless. So it actually is regulated at the tank to send the correct fuel pressure up here. No fuel gets sent back. So that's why there is one on here and two on there. You know, some subtle differences here and there, but overall pretty much the exact same. You still got all your injectors on the intake, so depending on your year and possibly the engine, gonna have a couple of differences. I don't know what the 6-liter looks like of this generation. It's probably the same as my GMT900, but either way, knock sensor installed. Not the worst, a little intimidating, I'm not gonna lie. You might be intimidated to go at it, and there's definitely things that you need to be careful. I'm about to put that freaking cover on, Chomper. Holy crap, that thing looks good. Big thing you don't want to do is snap one of the intake manifold bolts off in the head. That would be not fun. Been there, done that. Don't do that. So we didn't have any leaks. I'm going to go back and re-torque them just by hand, make sure nothing came loose now that it's gotten a heat cycle, and all should be good. We've definitely got plenty of other things that we got to address on Reggie. I don't know why the ABS thing has popped up, because we're plugged in, we're good. I don't know. I'm going to have to pop the wheels off and check, make sure everything is screwed in correctly, but I don't know why it wouldn't be. Anyways, also got obviously no 2 sensor, which I have one off of Chomper, I think. I replaced both, and it was only one. I think I got a spare one. We'll see. Either way, that is it for this video. Hopefully y'all did enjoy knock sensor replacement on your GMT800. So with that said, catch y'all in the comments, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, ring that bell notification, and I will see y'all boys in the next video.